Hello, folks. Grown black folks talk. Bless block and change lock. The Michael Jordan reverse posterized block. Okay, that's a lot. Michael Jordan reverse posterized. Okay, for those of you under 30 are not old enough to remember Michael Jordan actually playing, but you can find a lot of highlights. He's considered the greatest basketball player of all times. It's why people talk about buying Jordans, a particular subclass of Nikes. To this day, Michael Jordan still sells more Jordans then you sell LeBron's, and I think Under Armour has Curry's. The LeBron and Curry, LeBron James and Stephen Curry, the names you know. Michael Jordan is 62 years old, just about, and is still outselling all of them. He had this much impact. But what he used to do to people was called posterize, because they would be getting highlight reels of Michael Jordan, and whoever the person was who was defending him happened to be on the poster. So when he did things like that, they called it posterize, a whole new term. So basically, you were going to go up against him at the rim, posterization. But of course, time catches up with everyone, and after he came back on his second retirement, people decided to see younger people players wanted to see if they could score on him, steal things, steal the ball because he's a little bit slower because time catches up with us all. So there was one gentleman, and he only exists as part of a high ride meal. I can't remember what team he played for. I can't remember what his name was. This young man received one of the very few cases that made it onto a top 50 high ride meal for Michael Jordan. And they had a few from his Wizards years, the last few years after his second retirement. He got reverse posterized. And here's where this comes from. So you're a defender on Michael Jordan. Actually, you're defending. You steal the ball from him, so suddenly you're on offense. And what are you thinking with your 20-year-old self at this time? 21, 22 years old. Oh my gosh, I just stole the ball from Michael Jordan. I'm gonna go up here and dunk on him real quick. One thing about Michael Jordan, and then during his career, people used to tell their teammates, "Whatever you do not trash talk this man, do not mock, do not keep your mouth shut." Because Michael is is competitive, but he's not hard to get along with. But if you rile him up, we all got to pay for that. So this young man did this, and all you saw, and everybody, his coach knew what was going to happen and couldn't save him. His teammates who were of a certain age knew what was going to happen and couldn't save him. The commentator was like, "Oh," I was like, "Oh," because Michael Jordan got that look, and if you watched him play, you already know what that look is. Like, boy, you excuse son, you did what now? Excuse me? That young man goes up there, do his move. He ain't got the ball no more. Michael Jordan had about a 40-foot vertical leap in his prime. He found about 35 inches of that 40-inch vertical leap. He found 35 inches of that, snatched the ball out of the man's hand and came down with it. The young man was reverse posterized. Went up there for his highlight reel, ain't got no ball up here. The only thing you saw was Jordan coming down with the ball behind him. And if they snapped the picture, that was the poster. He was reverse posterized. His coach couldn't save him. His teammates couldn't save him. If his mom and his daddy wouldn't stand, couldn't save him. Because we see, the minute that they stole that ball, that young man stole that ball from Michael Jordan, it was over. Because of one person, it's like one occasion, some young man, when Michael Jordan came back the first time only for part of the season, and he was wearing number 45 because he couldn't get his old number back. Someone came to him about 45 is not 23. And all his teammates were like, "Have you lost your mind? Have you lost your mind?" Michael Jordan came back, scored 23 points in that quarter, and if you looked at his one of his percentages of total points scored in the game, 45, 23, and 45. Eddie! Oh, that man was paid. When you riled him up, what happened afterwards? See, you already knew who you were dealing with. So why am I bringing this up? Okay. The Michael Jordan reverse posterization block. Coaches couldn't save him. Teammates couldn't save him. I'm over here going, oh. The commentator's like, oh. We all knew. We all see that look. And this young man was the only person who didn't know. He was just going. He had no idea that Michael Jordan just run, what, almost twice his age. Outran that man down the court. Didn't do any research. This man outran all his teammates in scrimmage for most of his career. Now he injured his leg toward the end with the Wizard years, and that's why he retired that third time for good. Couldn't do that anymore, but it kicked in because he just there are two ways that the Michael Jordan reverse posterized block happened to people, and the second is the most devastating to everybody involved. One, because really what is going on is consequences for people's behavior is just running them down, and sometimes you end up having to do it. I've done this to people, but I'm not personality wise, stylistically, I'm not like Michael Jordan. I don't necessarily need you to know why you no longer have the ball in your hand when you're doing the foolery that you're doing. I will make sure you don't have it. I will reverse posterize you, but I'm also the invisible woman. You gonna look back there and be watching your back all your life because you will have no idea. I've done this in different business settings. I will reverse posterize you, but I don't need for you to know that I did it. That's not even the point. If I don't want you to have the ball, I'm just taking it. And you won't see it or me. You will not know how that happened. Just on the other end of the scoreboard, somehow my team scored points. That's just how it is. I don't need you. I don't need the glory. I just get the ball. Oh, come over into my community and stick. Excuse me? No. So I'm back there. You just not gonna. You just. I don't need you to know it's me. That's the thing. I've done this to people. And see, this kind of block is such a block if when you do it to people. If you do the invisible reverse posterization, they don't even know where the lock came on and why they can't get to. They don't even know. It's there, but it's like it ain't none of your business. You had no business doing the business that you were doing. And if you hadn't been doing the foolery, then you wouldn't have needed to be confused and watching your back because you got reverse posterized and you don't even know who did it. And sometimes, because I was the only person there who was in the way, people knew when I was finished. I've had people of multiple races so mad at me they did not know what to do. Too bad. You came up here to do foolery. I'm sorry, it's your day to be Michael Jordan reverse posterized. You gotta go. And when I get finished with you, what I want you to do is when you see a face that looks like mine, I want you to remember what happened to you so that you go into PTSD and you leave some other black folks alone. Again, I'm quite certain that this young basketball player probably never rolled up on a veteran ever again like that and then thought, I mean, he was just cruising. You could just see that, oh my gosh, I got one over on Michael Jordan. Glow? He just up there with an empty hand. Folks just cruise into our community and just think they're gonna do whatever they want. Nope. I don't think so. Folks used to, and we're getting close to the 3 year anniversary of me leaving here. Folks used to cruise up on Themis and thought they were gonna talk to black women any kind of way. Mm-hmm. All right. When I get finished with you, you may not roll up on anybody's show ever again. You may be scared to speak to a black woman. But of course, greater than myself. Let's see, what basketball player of that era would I be if I had an archetype? It would probably be David Robinson, the Admiral, Christian, quiet, efficient center. The person that keeps everything going around them isn't necessarily the biggest star, but just keeps it going. I probably would be more like David Robinson if I was anybody of that era. But then we got people like Confidence with Love, which brings me to the other way that this happens. When you see consequences chasing folk down and you can't do nothing about it, all you end up doing is watch it be applied, and then you just because you can't adjust it, you can't do anything about it. Because again, you can behave in certain ways. Someone like Confidence with Love is the consequences. In the same way that if you steal a ball from Michael Jordan, your fate is sealed. It's the same thing. People like that don't take kind of the foolery. Yes, they are going to take it fortunately. Yes, they've already looked at your profile. Yes, they already know that if you have a 32-inch vertical leap, all they got to do is do 33, and you done, son or daughter. And when you're in a world in which people just run things out to the limit of what they think they can do. They can be warned and it just bounce off. They can be coached and talked to and loved and it just bounces off. So the United States itself is going through this right now. There are a lot of warnings we've gotten on a lot of stuff, and just people out here wanting to do foolery. And this isn't a reference to any race of people. This is like the how the United States is behaving. We are doing things. United States citizens are doing things. We have measles, which is back in play. Measles was defeated 60 years ago. We have vaccines for that. We have diseases coming back in play that have been defeated because people feel like they don't need to do the things that go, they don't understand that there's a process to everything. They don't need to do the things that go with having taken these things out of circulation. We have black people going in circles behind the same foolery over and over again. Even Kevin Samuels himself, who's now also been turning to dust for 3 years, is kind of a repeat because Tommy Sotomayor came out for him. Well, Tommy Sotomayor didn't come out well, and Kevin Samuels didn't either. But then you still, and Anton Daniels is not coming out well either at this particular moment. But there will be someone new who tries to get that spot because we're doing the same things over and over and over again. And you're more vicious, vile people who are members of Black women empowerment are just a decade behind David Carroll and Kevin Samuels and numbers of other people who are having these same bad results. Because when you do the foolery, your consequences are going to chase you down faster than 37 plus year old Michael Jordan sitting up there. You talk about you gonna do what, son? You gonna revert? You gonna posterize me? Your consequences will chase you down harder than Michael Jordan. Talking about I took that smack personal. And the other thing about this block is sometimes you are on the sideline like, oh, ah. This is also the reason why it's another one of those great reasons why you really do have to get your life together. I've been saying that for years. You really do have to get your life together because here's the thing: when you out here acting a fool, you just don't know. See, you don't know. Them consequences is coming. I mean, 38 feet, whichever one comes first, vertical leap, getting ready to snatch everything you think you have going on. Seriously. People get to a point where they don't realize. They just think they're going to get away with everything they've been doing. They have no idea. And like I said, I saw this clip and I thought to myself, oh, folks out here thinking they steal something. They know there is a standard, but they're getting away with it for now. They don't believe they're going to get caught. They're just thinking about how special and how intelligent and how smart they are and how they are allowed to do all this and all that and this over here and ain't nobody gonna be able to stop them. And they have no idea who, what, when, where, and how those consequences are coming up behind them. And they will get to what they think is the top of the game sometime and find out the bigger that they are, the harder they will fall. For me personally, I felt that young man's pain. I felt his ego just, you know, grown up hearing about Jordan this and Jordan that. But you have a properly sized black male ego. And you're a good basketball player too. And you know this man has gotten old. And you figured, and you're doing what you should do for your team, no matter who the other player is. But you finally in your head are like, we're gonna get one on Jordan. So he gets all the way up there. He ain't got the ball. And he comes down with Michael Jordan and sees that ball in both hands. I just felt that young man's pain. I'm like, still, man, I'm so sorry. Nobody told you that ain't what you do. I, I'm like, your older brother didn't tell you, your daddy, your mama, your coach. Nobody told you not to tick this man off. He is going to make an absolute derriere out of you live if you do that kind of foolery. Nobody told you. This is why I'm walking up on people in my head. I'm going, who raised y'all? Nobody told you that there are certain lines you don't cross. Nobody told you that if you continue to behave in a way that shows disrespect to everybody around you, if you continue to walk up into the black community where I am, acting a fool and start messing with the people that I work with. Nobody told you not to do that. Nobody told you what happens. You keep rolling up on confidence with Love's Realm because she been out here telling y'all, I like to make troll beats. She got whole recipes for people. She's like, if sometimes she'll just add coloring books and crayons to people, but sometimes not. I'm just like, y'all, what is we even doing? With me, a lot of it's been established for at least 3 years. This ain't what you do. In the community I live in, 11. 11. Companies that work around the community know that if you do things right, I will be the first person to praise you. I'm going to record it. And if you do things wrong, you're going to hope you get out of that room with having your ego left. I will slice and dice your ego rhetorically and ask you what kind of seasoning and condiments do you want with it. I'm not petty, I'm thorough. So I can do it either way. But the ones that hurt me the most, like I said, I can feel that young man's pain. And I feel the pain of people that I have watched and been sitting there as their coach, as their colleague, and been like, well, I can't save you. I did everything I could. I told you what needed to happen. I warned you significantly in advance. See, I also am making this video after having a very heart-to-heart sit down with two Black women elder friends, one 30 years old, 20 years older than me, and one who is 90, 46 years older than me. And day over day, the one 20 years older than me said, "Deanne, your ability to warn and see, you're not dealing with anything that's anticipatory. You have some, you're dealing in the prophetic. You have a spiritual gift. So you're dealing in more of that. There are different ways that you have to handle your life given the details." And I thought to myself, oh, okay, so this is why I have written in a fictional book a preview of January 6th, 2021, 2 years in advance, almost, well, 1.5 years in advance, how I predicted that behavior. And this also explains other things like how is it that I was able to foresee the crypto bull run? 3/4 of what I predicted has occurred. She's like, no, you're just not doing pattern recognition. This is on a spiritual level. So give God the praise, but you also need to understand how to handle it a little bit better because it is going to be emotionally very taxing for you. You're only 44 years old. You have a long way to go. So you need to kind of manage your interactions better because you have to figure out with discernment, not everyone values that ability. Not everyone's going to listen to you. And because of who you are, because you have such deep feelings, you have to be very discerning so you do not connect yourself to the outcome. My 90-year-old mentor the day before said to me, "Deanne, you just have to understand that there's nothing you can do because some people are just doomed." I put the heart up for a reason. I'm a deeply loving person who also is an empath. So if I ever knew you for any length of time, I care about your well-being. And the last thing that I want to see happen to anyone is for them to be out cruising and thinking they're doing well and thinking they're getting away with whatever they're getting away with. Because I know, perhaps on a level that I never even considered myself knowing, I happen to know that the only thing that's about to happen at some point in the future, sometimes I can foresee it almost to the year. Um, all that's going to happen is that the consequences are going to chase people down with more ferocity. And that takes some doing with more ferocity than 37 plus year old Michael Jordan after you just stole the ball from him, getting ready to snatch, slap the taste, and having to sit there and just cold slide the block afterward because there was just nothing anybody could do. There's nothing I could do. I've done my best to try to help people. And I suppose, and almost 3 years out from leaving Themis and Thaws, it probably is time for me to have realized that. I may do a show on that day to mark that anniversary, but it's also Juneteenth, and I chose to leave on that day for a reason. After 2 days of foolery in a row, 17th, 18th. My family is from Texas. We don't do foolery on June 19th. We do not stay bound to foolery. This has been established since my family came out of Texas. It takes me a long time to process loss and grief. It takes a very long time. Some of you who've been with the channel a long time have seen me working through grief live on air. It takes me a long time because I do have deep concern, even if I have to walk away, even if the walk away is forced by someone else, and I choose to stay to one side of it or another. Because what ends up happening is I do not have the right, because I'm a mere mortal, to make other people's decisions for them. I also do not have the right to interfere with their consequences. Before Michael Jordan, the Lord Jesus said about himself, it was prophesied about him, and he quoted it about himself as he was delivering a sermon in his own local synagogue. A bruised reed shall he not break, and a smoking flax shall he not quench, till he bring forth judgment into victory. In fact, he didn't read that part. Um, wait a minute, did he read all of that? It depends on which of the Gospels you're looking at and how short it is. But what that basically means is a bruised reed, if it's not supported, will develop a weak spot on that side and tip over and die. And a smoking flax, if it is not quenched, will set itself and the rest of the field on fire. And what that has to do with is the Lord Jesus is going to force himself. If people did not see the need in their sin to accept him, he wasn't going to force the issue. All he was supposed to do is make it clear you're a bruised reed and you're a smoking flax. You're already doomed, like my 9-year-old mentor said. But if you see that and you ask, and another place, it was either Jeremiah or Ezekiel, and he told, I believe it was Ezekiel, he said, now they're going to treat you like someone who sings a very lovely song. They may come to you, but you don't go to them. When people are ready to come out of what they are for real, then they can come out. But at a certain point, you can be forbidden to prevent you not. I'm not allowed as a Christian to prevent people to get reverse posterized if that's what needs to happen. I'm not allowed to quench smoking flax or bruise reed. But the idea is if people know that they're in that situation and they do want the outside help because they cannot save themselves, there's room for that, but only for so long. There comes a point of no return with everything. And we've talked about it very humorously because y'all can imagine this particular, you can watch highlight reels of Michael Jordan and already understand he was a monster on defense as well as on offense. So, like I said, it's not like anybody who knew basketball and had been watching for 10 or 15 years didn't know what was going to happen. Everybody knew it was going to happen. But it's still no fun if you thought about it from that young man's perspective and his coach and his team and couldn't do anything about it. Once he made one decision, Michael Jordan chasing him down was inevitable. Sometimes our consequences are inevitable and they will chase us down. That's why you have to get your life together and keep your life together and tighten up. You think you have it together? Great. Get it together some more. If you don't have your life together and have no interest in getting your life together, you get to get out there and you get to do that. The only problem is behind you. Them consequences are gonna get right up on you. Yeah, right up on you. Before you know what's happening. Because you choosing not to pay attention. You choosing not to hear different warnings, they coming. And by the way, this can happen to you accidentally. Like me in my anemia case. It snuck up on me twice because the symptoms I have are very, very mild. My oxygenation levels were very, very high, so I'm largely asymptomatic. My body just is able to adapt. So that actually has now happened to me twice in a single decade. It can never happen again though, because now I do know what I'm looking at. Now it's on me. I can't let that happen again. Both times that could have killed me before I even knew what was happening. So sometimes you don't even know you're messing up, and that's a whole different set of issues. If you don't know what it is and you don't know what the warning looks like, but it's like I said, it's like playing basketball with Michael Jordan. By that time, everybody knew, don't tick Mike off. Whatever you do. He's a ferocious competitor. He's going to do everything he can to beat you anyway. But if you do something dumb, say something dumb, now we all about to get embarrassed. Shut up. Everybody already knew that. So Youngblood just signed himself up to be reverse posterized. And some of us are out here knowing what the consequences are. Y'all see me out here doing my best to lose weight for basically that reason. I already know what the consequences are of carrying that for too long. Y'all see me out here on the climb working with it. And some other things I had to do. A lot is going on. I've had to change my diet with the anemia, but now I got to start getting the right supplements and changing things back. I can't double up like I was having to do for a while on some foods. I got to keep on going on this journey. I know what the consequences are already. I have two grandfathers that died of heart attacks. I already know where that's going. And I also see how my parents have been losing weight and how they're cruising at their ages, mid 70s, late 80s. So I have choices to make. Everybody does. We do not have to be reverse posterized by the consequences of our behavior, I should say, of our bad behavior. We don't have to be reverse posterized by our bad behaviors. But we do have to understand the behaviors are bad and we do have to change them. And not act like ain't nothing happened yet, so it ain't gonna happen. No, they coming. I will never forget that. And like I said, it gave me a lighthearted way to have a difficult discussion about that kind of block on your life, though. Yeah, that's gonna mess you up for a good time. If it happens in a corporate setting or something like that, you get taken out that severely. Yeah, that's gonna stick with you. That's gonna sting. And that's not even talking about the good things that you forever are cut off from when that happens to you. I have reverse posterized blocked people out of millions of dollars. No, no, no cap. There's a lot that I do that I don't talk about on here. No cap. That happened. If you had time to look through the public records, the court system about 2018, you will not see my name in there, but if you look through the court documents, you might find me somewhere. Like I said, I've reverse posterized people who've never even seen me in person. No cap. They lost so much acnopho. They lost so much acnopho. So many times personally, people that I have cared about. It was not always me that applied the block. Lost so much chasing the foolery. I almost called this the round robin regret block. I don't regret any of the people that I've known in my life. There was a lesson in it, and they were people that I truly loved. And to their own ability. Some of them I believe do love me to the limits of their ability. But they love the foolery way more. And everybody got to make decisions. And sometimes you give people multiple chances. Well, it's also baseball season. One, two, three. You know what happens at third three strikes, right? And really, at age 44, even giving people three chances, my time doesn't run like that. Yeah, I might live to be my parents' age, but I also might not. I could have died in February. So I gotta stay on top of my stuff. I can't have consequences chasing me down. You want to talk about a competitor? Asymptomatic anemia? You think Michael Jordan is a problem? The thing was, God be praised, I caught it before it caught me. But it was on my heels. If my blood count had gotten any lower, the symptoms would have probably hit all at once. And I probably would have been out here walking around, been on the climbing the hill, could have been somewhere relatively remote. Thank God it was winter, because you just don't have as many days to do that. But yeah, thank God he made it possible for me to find out what was going on. Cause yeah, even with me doing the best I know how to do, there's things I got to stay on top of better. This can happen to anyone. So I've been saying I'm going to continue to say we may be having different topics, but I'm going to continue to say, Pete, get your life together because this is really important. This is really important. When you don't, the consequences eventually chase you down. And you may get a second chance or a third chance. Like I said, this second time anemia has done this to me. Now that I understand it, I can't let there be a third. Three strikes, I'm out. That could have killed me twice. I can't take a chance like that. I'm getting older. And in every other way, for those of you out there who know you're letting something in your life just be wrong, look behind you. Something may be trying to do a 35-inch vertical leap on you in a hot second. Someone may be warming up a kettle to make bisque of you because of the food. And then someone like me just may quietly just slide the block on and move on too. And you will never even know what you missed. Get your life together. Don't be reverse posterized in 2025. Michael Jordan's been retired for 23 years. Don't even try it. Bye, y'all. Zoom move these buttons around. Hold on, y'all. All right. There we go.